everyone, so I'm starting a new vlog. So I am continuing on with the Patricia Briggs Mercy Thompson series. So this next book here, Bone Cross, this is the 4th book in the series. This one here I found on Hoopla, so I'm borrowing that one right now, and then once I'm done with that one I'll return it. And then I think I have like, it gives me like 21 days to borrow it, and I'm like, I don't need that long with an audiobook. It's like within a few days I'm like, I'm done with it. So I just started this one here. So this one here has it to where it says, as a shapeshifter with some unique talents, ace car mechanic Mercy has had to maintain a tenuous harmony between the human and the not-so-human within the Tri-Cities of Eastern Washington on more than one occasion, but this time she may be in over her head. Marsilia, the local vampire queen, has learned that Mercy crossed her by slaying a member of her clan. Now she's out for blood, but since Mercy is protected from the vampire's direct reprisal by the werewolf pack and her close relationship with its sexy alpha, it's not Mercy's blood Marsilia is after, it's her friends. So that's fucked up. So right now, I started it. I'm on, like, whenever they do graphic audio, they never do like one chapter at a time. It's always at least like 2 or 3 chapters in a section. So you can listen to like an hour of the audiobook and it's already went past like at least maybe 2 or 3 chapters. So I'm on technically like the 3rd chapter. So right now we have it to where Mercy, it's like basically right off the ending of the 3rd book, where Mercy is discussing with Adam whether or not she wants to be like his mate or not. So she kind of like pushes it out there like she's going to have sex with him, like right then and there. And Adam's like, whoa, you know, like we don't have to, like, he goes, hold the brakes, you know, like pump the brakes. We don't have to, you know, do it right now, because he's like, you know, a week ago she had gotten sexually assaulted. So he's like, take the time you need. He goes, I'll be here, you know, whenever you need me. And so, you know, they were kind of like getting close and holding each other and everything like that. And all of a sudden, what's his name? Stefan just drops in her house, and he's like all burned and everything like that. So he obviously was tortured, and he goes and he kind of like whispers these words to her. She knows. So it's obviously Marsilia knows Mercy had killed one of her people. And now Marsilia is going to be going after Mercy, you know? But since she's obviously protected, who else is she going to hurt? But she'll hurt Stefan, because Stefan, you know, it has a relationship in a way of like for Mercy. The other guy, Z, what was his name again? I forget. But she always calls him Z. And she could go after him. You know, he's the one that sold Mercy the mechanic shop. So she could be going after him. She could be going after how many other people, like she could be going after Samuel. Samuel is Mercy's roommate, which, you know, like I said in the previous books, you didn't know if maybe like her and Samuel would get together, because Samuel actually wanted to be with her for a while, like as his mate, you know. But then that didn't work out. So now it's like her, obviously, and Adam, which I like, because I like Adam better. I'll just say that. I like Adam better. And I'm like, Adam, definitely. So she also, Marsilia, could be going after Adam, or going after Adam's daughter, which is a human. So yes, that's 2. That is 2. So yeah, that as well. So we'll see. But yeah, it's interesting because it kind of like, there wasn't really at any time in between like these books. It was like right, you know, it ended and now we're into like, you know, basically the same shit. So it's like not much time has passed since her sexual assault from that man. I think his name was Tim, if I remember correctly, because I think they said Tim. And I think that's what his name was. All I know, he was a piece of shit. That's all I remember him by. I mean, piece of shit, that's what his name is to me. So there's that. So yeah, it's like, you know, she hasn't had that much time, you know, to like mentally heal, you know, and all that stuff, you know. So that's gonna be another thing. I think she's been having, oh yeah, that's what it is. She's been having panic attacks too. So that's not good. That's another thing that she's dealing with. So yeah, once I get through with this one, I will tell you how I liked it, you know, whether I give it like, you know, 3, 4, or 5 stars. Hopefully, you know, I enjoy it. So far, I am enjoying it. I like listening to the audiobooks. You know, it's just, they're interesting. And the next book in the series that I'll get to is Silverborn. So this one here, obviously, is dealing with Fae. You know, she's holding a book. She has a book of the Fae. And so now she's going to be dealing with all of that stuff, you know, because she had borrowed it in a previous book. She had borrowed the book, and so she's trying to return it. So, you know, shit happening there. And then the last one I'll do for this vlog will be River Marked. So that one there. I love all these covers. All these covers are really cool looking. I love all the covers. So this one here is basically her and Adam getting married. So we'll see about that. You know, we'll see about that one there. But yeah, I'm going to continue on with these ones here. These two here are on Everand, so I'm going to have to borrow them. Or not really borrow them. I'm going to have to, what they say, you unlock it. So I'm at the point now where I'm like, because I just started this. When I'm done with this, I can move on to the other ones. To where once you have like 3 unlocks, that's it. Unless you find other things like for unlimited, you're done with the app for like the month. So if you listen to like 3 audiobooks quickly, then you have no more you can't take any more audiobooks. Where with where with Hoopla that I have, that one there goes through my library. Unfortunately, they don't have the whole collection at my library. They had, like I said, they had that 4th book available, and they also have I believe it's the 7th book available. So I could borrow the 7th book. So yeah, I was thinking of that 3rd option I have, the 3rd unlock forever, and I'll probably listen to something else. And then when it's time for me to listen to the other 3 books, I have to wait for the unlocks to be available. I gotta wait for that. So that sucks. That sucks, but unless I want to physically read them, which sometimes I can do, and then other times I just, like I lose focus. Like I can't focus on the words sometimes. So like listening to the audiobook makes it easier for me to focus. Like I can do other things. Like my mind sometimes will drift off, and I'm thinking about other things, and then I can't like concentrate on reading. I could do it better like at night on my Kindle. Like some people can't like read from a Kindle or can't read an ebook. It's like they can't really do it, and then they're better with a physical book. I kind of like, now that I've read so many ebooks, I have it to where it's hard for me to focus on physical copies sometimes. I gotta really be like in the zone. But otherwise, if I get distracted, I put it down and I forget about it, and it takes me longer to get through a physical book. So listening to the audiobook, I can concentrate a little bit better, because I have to really concentrate in order to like know what's going on in the story by listening to it. So I will do other things like with my time, like paint or do the dishes or other things I'll do while I'm listening to the audiobook. Say if I'm like waiting for my daughter to get out of school, I can listen to the audiobook just sitting there, you know, looking at like the trees and all this different stuff, waiting for, you know, her to get out. And you know, going for walks and things like that, you know, I can concentrate that way. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see. It'd be nice if there were more copies on Hoopla, but there's not. At my local library, it's like a few books, and then that's it. And I was like, that sucks. I really wish there was more available. And this whole series is like available through Everend, but like I said, the downside is you're only allowed 3 unlocks, and you're paying like $15.99. It's a pain in the ass. So it sucks because, you know, obviously first world problems and everything like that. It's like, oh, boo, you could like physically read it. You know, I get it. People are like, you know, you could physically read it if you really want to get through it, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So when I get through this one here, I'll update you, tell you, you know, basically everything that went on as much as I can. Because like I said, I want to have it to where I don't spoil too much of the story. To give a lot of stuff away. I don't want to do that. So I just, you know, I'll do like a summary basically of, you know, what, you know, basically happened and all that stuff. So usually with anything, like with these books so far, she always kind of like does like an investigative like storyline to it. So I could at least talk about that aspect to it rather than talking about all the other things that went down and happened. So yeah. So yeah, anyways, I will update you all later. Okay, update. So I finished off Bone Crossed. This one here, I gave it a 4. It was good. I'll just say I didn't love it, but it was good. I'd say there was a few parts in here that was a little weird. Like when it came to like her communicating with the ghosts and stuff, I would say like it was probably the audiobook that kind of annoyed me a little bit when it came to like the voices, like the person's doing the voiceovers for the ghosts. That was annoying. And there was, I think another person's voice that was very thick. They were doing like an accent, and I wasn't liking the accent. So that's probably what maybe made my enjoyment of it go down a little bit. But otherwise, for the majority of it, I did like it. I explained in my previous clip how, you know, she's dealing with Marcelia, who is like the vampire queen, because Mercy ended up killing like one of Marcelia's like crew, you know? Oh, crap. If you see like the sun, it's hitting my apartment and it's like reflecting in. So if you see that, I can't do anything about it. It's annoying me. I have to lean back a little bit because it's hitting my eyes. So so this one here, she's dealing with more ghosts and stuff, and there's a reason of why she's dealing with these ghosts. Like there is a reason why all of a sudden she has to like help her friend. Her one friend, Amber, that she knew in college, comes to pay her a visit and says that she has ghosts. There's a reason behind this. When you find out, the more you read into the book. But, you know, Mercy basically kind of gets out of Dodge for a little bit, you know, kind of like gets out of town for a little bit and helps her friend just so she can kind of like get away from Marcelia, because Marcelia is going after Mercy's friends as like kind of like payback and revenge. So she doesn't want that. So she's trying to kind of like distract Marcelia and have it to where, you know, she kind of leaves for a little bit. I did like, there was parts in this book when Amber, her friend, has a 10-year-old boy named, I think was his name, what was his name again? What was his name again? The little boy. Chad. Yeah, the little boy Chad, he was deaf. So he spoke and, he did sign language, ASL. So, Mercy didn't know ASL. So she kind of like tried to communicate with him, like he write to her. And so he was the one that was dealing with like the ghosts in Amber's house and different things like that. So yeah, that was interesting. I did like the little boy, I liked the fact that she was trying to protect him. I liked that too. It just, to me, it's this here kind of showed like more talents that Mercy has, like that she's able to like more things than what she knew that she had. Like her, like there was a part in the book where she realized that she actually can, in a way, control the ghosts. Like, if they're in like the bathroom with her, she can be like, you need to leave, and they leave. So there's obviously some type of like control she can have over the ghosts, so that's like a new thing for her. And she's like, whoa, wow, I didn't realize I had that. So she's discovering more things about herself that she didn't realize that she had, with her, because she is a walker. She can shapeshift anytime she wants to. Where like I said, when it comes to the werewolves and any other like shapeshifters or shifters out there that turn into other things, it's more of a painful experience for them. So like when Adam changes, it's more of a painful experience for him. To where it doesn't cause her any pain when she shifts, and she could do it at will, where the other ones have to have, there's got to be like a trigger or something that triggers them to change. If it's not the full moon or the moon, it's something else that might trigger it. And that was interesting. And I liked seeing more of her relationship shifting more with Adam, and him taking his time with her, like telling her like, hey, I don't want to push it if you're not ready, and I don't want you to force yourself, and she's dealing with like anxiety, like definitely like I would say PTSD, because of what she dealt with in the previous book. She's definitely dealing with the after effects, which are fucking like valid, like valid. Anybody who's dealt with like sexual assault is going to have PTSD, is going to have a trigger, something that's going to trigger them to remind them. Like I remember a story one of my teachers told me, like when I was studying massage therapy at a vocational school. My one teacher was saying about, you have to be careful with some people when you massage them, because it may trigger past memories for them. Like if, say, they had gotten sexually assaulted or something like that, you touching them in a particular area may cause them to have a flashback or any kind of PTSD. So try to be as like obviously professional as you can, like when you're massaging. And I didn't run into anything of that, but I did run into like, when I would massage men, you would go and turn them over. Like I'd start them off on their like stomach, and then I would turn them over and then work on their like legs and the front and all that stuff. Especially if somebody wanted like an hour massage, you need like to kind of like milk that time, So I would go and work on their front legs and their arms and stuff like that I wouldn't work on their chest. But sometimes some men, when they would turn over onto their back, they would have a stiffy. And so some guys would get embarrassed and be like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. It happens. It's a natural thing. That's something that I would tell them. It's okay. It's a natural thing. Don't worry about it. And there were areas that you could work on in the leg, like near the knee part, that supposedly would help guys go down. And so I would start to work on like the areas near the knee and stuff like that, that I would try to like trigger that point to where it would go down. So that way it's, it would be like less embarrassing for them. But he had said about this story, how he was working on a woman, and she had kind of like burst out, like, had burst out and said like, oh my God, that's the area that he touched me. And so he was like, it's okay, and he's like, I I'll stay away from that area. And so I guess she had kind of like, was kind of crying a little bit and releasing some obviously pent up emotions for her. And sometimes massage will kind of give you that kind of release. You know, it will release like a lot of stuff from your body that you've been maybe holding in. So for obviously Mercy, she was dealing with PTSD, dealing with like anxiety. She'd start to have like these anxiety attacks, and she would kind of like black out a little bit. And so Adam would be there to like help her. And so I liked that a lot too. Is even though I think Mercy Thompson's a very strong-willed, stubborn at times woman, she's still human. You know, like she's still a woman. She still deals with, my alarm went off. She still deals with, you know, she's dealing with trauma, you know, which, because it hasn't been that long since she was assaulted, you know. It takes time, you know, and even if you think like, you know, oh, I'm fine, something could trigger you, you know, and put you back into that space that you don't want to be in, you know. And then everybody's different, you know, when it comes to, everyone has a fight or flight response, and everybody's fight or flight response is different. Some people react and they fight, others freeze up and they don't know what to do. It's like their body is betraying them, you know. Everybody's response is going to be different. So anybody who has dealt with that situation, you know, the one thing you have to first of all realize is that it's not your fault. You know, it's not your fault that happened to you. No matter how much people around you may say something to you that might, you know, make it like seem like your fault, you know, like you'll have people who will say like, oh, what did you wear? Or put yourself in a situation. I'm like, yes, we do. As a woman, you do have to take responsibility of yourself, of course, but also that person didn't need to hurt you. You know, they didn't need to do that. So there is that as well. So for her, it's like, you know, dealing with all of this and trying to, you know, like heal herself. Like obviously I think she probably would do well with therapy, you know, going to therapy and talking with somebody. But for her, it's like, she's very stubborn. She's very stubborn. That's the one thing about Mercy, is like, she is a very stubborn person. So I did like it. I gave it 4. And now I'm on to the other book, which is the fifth book in the series. This is Silverborn. So this one here has it, she attempts to return a powerful Fae book she previously borrowed. In an act of desperation, she finds the bookstore locked up and closed down. It seems the book contains secrets, and the Fae will do just about anything to keep it out of the wrong hands. And if that doesn't take enough of Mercy's attention, her friend Samuel is struggling with his wolf side, leaving Mercy to cover for him, lest his own father declare Samuel's life forfeit. So, okay. In the previous book, Samuel was around, but he wasn't around much. But I know he was dealing with, because he is a doctor, and so Samuel sometimes deals with, because of his wolf side, he is more of an alpha, but he doesn't want to be an alpha. He doesn't want to take on a pact. That's basically his thing. And so obviously he's probably dealing with something, you know, and because Mercy's his friend, you know, like they definitely, like, as you could see, you know, they are friends with each other. Like she obviously had a crush on him when she was younger, but not anymore. Now she's definitely developing more feelings for Adam the more she's around him. And in the previous book, there was like this type of magic that happened, to where now she is bonded to Adam. So, you know, that could cause like some conflict too. And, you know, of course, Samuel's still Mercy's roommate. You know, he's still living with her. So she's probably going to be dealing with that too. she might like do an investigation of, obviously with the Fae, and finding out like why that bookstore got closed down and what secrets the Fae have. But also she might be trying to find out like what's going on with Samuel. Like, is there something that's going on that's triggering his wolf side? Because in the previous book and this one here, there was like a witch or something or a vampire that caused like some type of like magic to happen in the one bar that they were in, and it caused Adam to shift uncontrollably, like he couldn't control his shift. And there was another type of creature that had shifted, and they couldn't handle their shift either. So it's a possibility that somebody could be fucking with Samuel to get at Mercy, because there was in the previous book, that's what like Marcelia was doing. Marcelia was going through her friends to kind of fuck with Mercy. So it's a possibility there's other people who don't like Mercy, and they could be going after Samuel and maybe like shift, you know, trying to like mess with his wolf so that way he can like accidentally kill Mercy, you know? Because that's basically what they're trying to do with, in the previous book, Marcelia had went and sent, what's his name? What's his name again? What is his name again? Dang it. What is his name again? Stefan. That's what it is. Stefan. Yeah. Stefan had gotten dropped in her house, and he was almost feral, you know, to the point where, you know, Marcelia wanted him hungry so that way he would attack Mercy. And you could see like Stefan, even though he is hiding, he's still kind of like hiding parts of himself from Mercy, obviously. You could see that he does care for her deeply, you know, and wants to protect her. So Marcelia did it deliberately because she wanted Mercy dead. So it was a possibility in this one too that it could, I don't think it's Marcelia, but it could be someone else that's trying to fuck with Mercy, and so they could go after Samuel. You know, it could be. It could be. So we'll see what happens with this one here. I just started the audiobook. I haven't, as soon as it started, I paused it. So we'll see how this one is. I did the thing on Everend where it's, you unlock it. So this is my first unlock. And then when I get into the other book, which is the 6th book, that'll be my second unlock. And then there's another book that just recently came out that it won't be for this vlog, but there's a book that recently came out that it was from an author I've been reading that came out on audio. So I'm going to listen. That'll be my 3rd unlock for Everend. And then I can't listen to it for, you know, until like April something, you know, I think maybe like April 12th or April 13th. Then I'll probably be able to, you know, listen to it then and go from there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I'll do like more Hoopla borrows, because there's how many books that I currently own that are on Hoopla that I can listen to. And that's easy because it's like I could borrow like how many books like throughout the month for audio, you know, and get through those. So yeah, I have been still enjoying this series, which is good because lately my reading experiences, I've been disappointed in a lot of stuff lately. Just stuff is just not, romances have been like really disappointing me, and I've been trying to like get into like other types of genres, like, you know, cozy mysteries, or reading this other book that's like post-apocalyptic kind of thing, and trying to get into those. Yeah, I've been really disappointed in romance lately. I need to stick to like backlist stuff, because newer books have been really not it, you know, not it for me. So yeah, that's it for this update for now. I will go and update you later when I get done with this one and see how I feel about it. But yeah, I love these covers. I'll just say that. Like, I love these covers. These covers are so freaking cool. I just think they're really cool covers, you know? And I hate when they recover them and the recover is not as good, you know? And it's like, ew, what the fuck is that? I don't want that shit, you know? So this one here, I love the original covers. So I'm like, I don't want to get rid of those books. I want to keep those books, you know? So yeah, I'll update you all later when I get done with the other book. Okay, update. So I finished off Silverborn. This one here was really interesting. So you have it to where the rest of the book was basically, did I already discuss it? I talked about how this one here had to do with like Faye and Samuel. This one here had it to where Mercy was gonna go and return back this book that she borrowed from Finn, who is, he's either a Fae or like a half Fae, I think. He might be like half Fae. And so he's more like human. And so she goes to return it, and then she notices, like, you know, his bookstore's closed, so she goes to his place where he's staying at, and the one neighbor is kind of weird, and she's kind of getting like creepy vibes from the one neighbor. And so she ends up finding out like that Finn is actually missing. And so she tries to go and, like, you know, basically try to find him, like where is he at and everything like that. And then you have Adam and Mercy are pretty much like, they're trying to like go on more dates and everything like that and get to know each other. And they're they had gotten like this magical bond, so that way they're, you know, they're bonded with each other. And all of a sudden, like, she has like this weird reaction in this bowling alley to where he kind of like looks at her in a different way, like, oh, he's like very angry. And when she gets home, she's like, why was he acting like that? What is going on? Like, this is like out of character for her. And so she ends up like deducing that it's the wolf pact that's connected to her that's causing this rift between her and Adam. And so she wants to find out who is the one that's like messing with her head, you know? Because the wolf pact, they're pretty much like, the pact that's Adam's group, they pretty much like, they're connected in a way to where obviously they know if like one's in trouble, that type of thing. They can kind of sense, you know? So I kind of think of it as like, these people are like getting into your relationship, you know, when they need to be like minding their own business kind of thing, you know? And so she tells him like, I'm going to take a few days away kind of thing. And then she ends up getting a call from Samuel, where he's at the hospital, and you come to find out Samuel tried to delete himself. He went and basically was, I guess he had smashed through like this one bridge area, wherever it was. I think he was like almost about to go over like this bridge, and it was his wolf inside him that was trying to protect him, you know, obviously. And so when she ends up, as soon as she sees like Samuel, she realizes Samuel's not mentally there, that it's Sam, the wolf, that has kind of taken over his personality at this point, because, you know, like I said, Samuel tried to delete himself, you know, self-delete. So now she's like, okay, I need to protect Samuel because he's my friend, you know, as well as like, she obviously used to have a crush on him and everything like that, but that's her friend. And she doesn't want him to off himself because he's, you know, lonely, or, you know, feels like the world is like monotonous or whatever it is, you know. And she knows that if she doesn't help him, Bran, you know, his father, will destroy him if he finds out that Samuel's wolf kind of took over. Because, you know, they can become, what's that, like, uncontrollable, you know, with the wolves and stuff like that. So she wants to protect Samuel from that, and also protect him from Adam too, because Adam and his pack, they may like, you know, decide to destroy him as well. So she doesn't want that. So she starts to kind of like have, you know, told Samuel, like, you know, Sam to like go back into his like his wolf shifter form and kind of stay like as a wolf. And so it kind of causes a little conflict between her and like her employee she has, Gabriel. Like his mother like gets really scared about it and doesn't want anything like to do with like Mercy and everything like that. So it caused like a little conflict with there. And then you had more about like different stuff that's happening with the Fays, and they start to like target her and like her friends and stuff like that. And then you have like all this other stuff that goes on in the book. There's like a lot of stuff that ended up going on in this book. So I don't want to like delve into like that. But it was interesting because you see more of like the wolf pack kind of like politics involved in all that stuff. Like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, obviously Adam being the leader of that pact, and anybody could challenge him at one point. Like there's different things like that. You could have people in your ranks that obviously want to challenge you, different things like that. There's all that political things when it comes to that. And then, you know, learning more about like the Fays and all this different stuff that's going on there. And Mercy like dealing with all of that, you know. It was interesting. I did really like it, and I end up giving that one a 4. Most of these books are like 4 or 5 stars. It depends. Like this one here, I'd say was a 4. You know, I did really enjoy it, but I didn't love it. But it was interesting. And like I said, I love all the covers because, as you could see, she's got obviously that magic book in her hand and stuff. Also, there was an introduction to like another character in here, and I kind of was feeling like, okay, Sam is, you know, here, Samuel's here. What can cause him to like shift his mindset to like not wanting to like delete himself? And so you're introduced to this one character where Sam obviously has some kind of backstory with this female character. And I was like, Samuel, you need to go for this character here, because it's like, obviously him and her have like some kind of like history and stuff, and it never like materialized into anything else because of like her father and all this different stuff that went on in the past. But it was interesting. I'll just give it that. It was very interesting. And I was like, you know what? I want to see Samuel happy. I want to see Samuel happy. You know, I know like he can't be with Mercy because of, you know, I don't want 2 men keep vying for her. You know, she needs to be with Adam. I like her with Adam. But I'm like, Samuel, he needs someone. He needs like a love interest. So that's kind of like what was like introduced in here too, is like obviously Samuel's getting some kind of love interest as well. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. And yeah, I was like, okay, let's move on to the next one, because it's an interesting series. Like the more of like, you go down this rabbit hole of more and more things. And I actually find this series a lot more enjoyable than what I felt like for like, I still like the Sookie Stackhouse series. I mean, I do like it. I did like the series. But there were times that she fucking annoyed the shit out of me. Where with here, it's like, I like Mercy. She's a really strong heroine. And I know she's like stubborn and she does like different things that I'm like, ooh, maybe you made a mistake there. But it's like, she doesn't make really stupid decisions. I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't feel like she makes really stupid decisions. She makes these decisions for a reason. And sometimes they work for her and sometimes they don't. But she at least learns from them. You know, she learns from like, oh, I shouldn't have did that, you know, and she's human, you know, like she makes mistakes. Like, even though she's like, obviously a coyote shifter and all that stuff, she makes mistakes, you know, and she's like learning from those mistakes. So I really like that, you know, that she's learning from them, and she's not doing stupid, like there's times that Sookie was just like so naive and just irritating to me, to where her, it's like, I like Mercy Thompson, better as a heroine, then I would say I liked Sookie. Sookie, there were times like she annoyed the fuck out of me. And so I just would get so frustrated with Sookie Stackhouse sometimes. Especially with how like the guys treated her. I did not like the overall treatment of like both of the males that were in her life, like through most of the series and stuff. I just was not a fan of like what they were asking of her and what they were doing to her, you know? Yeah. To where here it's like she's dealing with like men, but it's like, you know, Samuel's like really good to her, and Adam like does his best to like be really good to her and like take his time with her and everything, you know? And the fact that, you know, he tore that person apart that hurt her. He tore that motherfucker apart. And to me, it's like, I like the good, strong hero where even though she's a strong heroine, but also I like the fact that he's still like, he knows she's strong, but he still wants to protect her. You know, she's his and she's, you know, she's his and he's hers. You know, I like that. I like that. So now I'm going on to River Marked. And so this one here has it to where they're now going to be like obviously heading to like the altar of getting married. So it says getting to the altar wasn't easy for Coyote Shifter Mercy Thompson and Alpha Werewolf Adam Hopman. And yet Mercy clings to the hope that their Columbia River honeymoon will be drama-free. She couldn't be more wrong. Being a different breed of shapeshifter, a walker, Mercy can see ghosts, but the spirit of her long-gone father has never visited her until now. And evil is stirring in the depths of the Columbia River, and innocent people are dying. As other walkers make their presence known to Mercy, she must connect with her heritage to exorcise the world of the legend known as the River Devil. Interesting, because, you know, she does have heritage of like Native American and all that stuff in her heritage. So maybe it's something like that too. Like she's delving into more of like her ancestry and different things like that. Interesting. So that's the one thing I like. I like learning more about like Native American history and like some of our history made it sound like, you know, oh, the Native Americans were these peaceful people. Wrong. There were some who were straight up savages. They would like murder other, you know, tribes and different things like that. Some of them were not very good people. They would do like different stuff, like some, like I think got into like cannibalism and stuff like that. So there was some straight up shit and they're like, damn, that was not in the history books. So when you learn more about like Native American culture and like the heritage and the history of it and stuff like that, you're like, whoa, that was not something that I was taught in my history books. You know, like they try to like, some history, I feel like they try to like water it down to make it act like, you know, white people were always the bad people, when it's like, no, there's been bad all throughout history with like different cultures and different races and all that stuff. There's bad in a lot of different stuff that when you go and you look up more, you're like, whoa, like holy crap, it's brutal. It's a brutal history. And one where I'm like, I would not want to go back to. I'm like, I'm a woman. No, I'm happy with my time frame right now. In 2024, you know, I'm like, I'm happy with my freedoms. Thank you very much. So yeah, I look back at like different stuff and I can appreciate certain cultures, but I also kind of like other cultures you want to not necessarily support or like more condemn, because there are some cultures, like even today, some cultures that are not great, that need to get better. I would say that there's certain cultures that are kind of like they need to improve their, you know, the way it is, because some are just, they do shit that's like, oh man, as an American, I do not agree with, you know. So there's some that it's like, no, wouldn't want to be in that culture. Thank God. Thank God I was not born into that particular culture. So, I mean, you can praise like some cultures, but then there's others that it's like, no, I don't condone that behavior. I'm like, that's their culture, whatever, but I don't condone it. I don't think it's right. Because there's certain things that's like, no, within the laws, like, I think laws supersede your own religious beliefs. If you have a religious belief that is harmful, and you have a culture that is harmful to people, then I'm sorry, your culture does not supersede the laws of a country, So when you go and you come here to America and you live, you better fucking learn to acclimate to the culture of America. Otherwise, leave. And that might sound mean, but it's true. You have to learn to acclimate, to American culture because we are Americans first, So there's certain things that I'm like, this is not right for this. I don't care if that's that person's culture. This isn't right. Like child brides, things like that. Like, fuck no. Or like, you got different stuff in like Africa where they go and they clip off women's like, down there and stuff like that, No, I don't agree with. That is like mutilation, So there's certain different things that I don't agree with that I'm glad that I'm not that culture. So, so you can go and like, be interested in certain types of cultures and want to know more about them, but also like not approve of everything that they maybe do now or did in the past, like even like there's things that with my, my race that I could say like there were bad things that happened, with my race, but there's other races out there too that are like, that have done some fucked up shit. So it's not all on the pale people, So yeah, it would be interesting to know more about like her backstory of like her heritage and all that stuff and like the different stuff that maybe she might find out, that maybe wasn't great or something. But it'll be interesting because I'd say like some of the Native American culture, I always like this. I like their dress, the way they used to dress, and seeing like maybe they would do like these little chants and these dances and stuff like that. I always liked that. I always thought that was really cool. Like the way they would, different things that they would do to like, how they would live and all that stuff back in like years and years ago and all that stuff. I like all the teepees and stuff too, and how they kind of like moved and stuff like that. That moved from around to different places and stuff. I thought was really interesting. But there's like obviously stuff that in that culture, in different tribes that were not, not good. But yeah, I always liked watching like different movies that had like Native Americans in them. Like I love the movie Dances with Wolves, very heartbreaking movie, but it was a really good movie too. But there's different ones that I'm like, I like. So this will be interesting to like, for her, like knowing a little bit more about like her heritage and different stuff like that. And I don't know if this author will kind of like water it down, to make it sound good or not. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I definitely want to obviously keep moving on with this series because I'm really enjoying it. And I like all of the different stuff that, the author has done to kind of like explain all these different like types of like worlds, like the fays and, werewolves and vampires and all this different stuff. You had a little bit more in this book here with Z, was this like Zebolt, something like that, where he's the guy who gave Mercy the shop because he is like half fae. And he has like these powers, like he had a way of like opening up the fairy world for like the other people to get in. He was able to do that and like hang on to it for like, how much time and stuff like that. So yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, you see Z a little bit more. But that last audiobook I listened to, it wasn't a graphic audio, so they weren't using the same voices. It was just the a female who is doing the voice of like all of the characters. And I'd say like, I like those audiobooks less. I really like the graphic audios because they have multiple narrators doing the voiceovers for the different characters. And I liked the voice of Z, you know, because he had this like thick, kind of like German accent. I think it was German accent. And I liked the way he would speak. And then you could tell the difference between Z and Stefan. You know, Stefan's a vampire, and he was in the last book more. You didn't see Stefan in this one. That was the one. Yeah, I didn't see Stefan. If I did, it was like fast. Like he was barely in it. So we'll see if we see Stefan in the newest book, or if he's going to be out completely, because it may just be, this one here may just be Mercy and Adam that they're dealing with, and then the other stuff it could be, you know, so we'll see how that works out. Anyways, I'll update you later when I get done with Rivermark to see how I liked it. I like this cover too. That's such a pretty cover. Like, oh man, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. I like all the covers. All the colors are just really nice, you know? They're really nice. And like I said, I love the whole aspect to it where it's like the background has it to where it's like matte. Even though this is a little shiny, you could see shininess in there. I think that's cool. And you could see, obviously, it looks like more native, kind of like Native American drawings and stuff like that in the back. But her character is like glazed, so I like how she kind of stands out a little bit more. I love these covers, man. These covers are so cool. But yeah, I'm glad I'm done with which one is this one? This was the 5th book, right? Yeah, the 5th book. And now I'm on to the 6th book. Is this one the 6th book? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the 6th book. This is the 6th book. When I get to the 7th book, the 7th book has it where it's on my Hoopla, so I'll end up borrowing that one when it comes around to that one. And like I said, the Hoopla only has maybe like, for my library, there's only like maybe 3 Mercy Thompson books, or maybe 4 Mercy Thompson books. Or no, I think it's just 2. I think it might be just 2. Because I know one of them is from that Alpha and Omega series, and I could borrow that one. But unfortunately, they don't have the whole series, unfortunately. So yeah, that's why I have to stick to like just 3 books within the month, you know, because otherwise I'd be, you know, just physically reading it, and I get through my books much slower that way. And so that's why it's better for audio that I listen to these. I can get through, if I really kind of like, I'm not really doing anything that day, I can get through an audiobook within like a day, you know, if I push it. Like I did that when I finished off this book. I was like all of Saturday, I was basically listening to it. Like my husband, he was gone, and he was gone with my stepson, with his son, and they went to like go watch racing or something like that. Yes, some kind of racing, you know, with cars. And it's just, I hate that type of stuff. It's loud and annoying, and it smells like tire, and I'm not a fan of like that type of stuff. So him and his son went, you know, with his sister and her husband, and they went and watched all that stuff. So I had a whole Saturday where I'm like, all right, my husband's not here, I can go and listen to my audiobooks. My kids are pretty like independent, you know, like like if I'm sitting in bed, like I'll have like the one, like if she's hungry, maybe she'll heat up something for herself. Like, you know, she's 12, she's getting older. So I'm like, girl, you gotta learn to be more self-sufficient and like learn to take care of yourself, learn how to make sandwiches, different things like that, you know, like basic things. So like she'll open up like a can of like SpaghettiOs and eat like SpaghettiOs or something. So they're usually pretty self-sufficient for like a lot of stuff. But like, you know, when it comes to lunchtime, I'm like, okay, what do you want for lunch? And then I can listen to the audiobook while I'm cooking them lunch or like while I'm cooking them dinner, I could still listen to it and pay attention. So, you know, I could get through it within a day if I, you know, don't really have anything that I'm doing within a day. You know, I can get through it pretty quickly. Otherwise, maybe it might take me a couple days to get through an audiobook. So it all depends on like how busy I am throughout the day. Usually weekdays, I'm busy a lot. So when it comes to them going to school, and, you know, usually at that time, I'm like going to the grocery store, doing laundry, or, you know, other things that I have to do to keep, you know, the apartment up and all that stuff. Yeah. Anyways, anywho, I'll get through this one here, River Marked, and when I'm done, I will update it and tell you how I feel about it, what happened, you know, as much as I can. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much of the book, because then it's like, what would we want this person reading it if I'm spoiling too much? So I'm trying to like rein in like how much I say, you know, and go from there. So yeah, I'll update you all later. Okay, last clip. So I finished off River Marked, and I will say, like, this is probably like the weakest installment that I've listened to so far. This one here had it to where Mercy and Adam ended up getting married, and they decided to go on their honeymoon to this place that's near like the Columbia River. And so they ended up borrowing like basically it was like a trailer. They ended up borrowing this trailer from Uncle Mike, and it was like a deliberate thing. Like Uncle Mike had put them in this area for a reason, and it had to do with like these otter fairies that were there. And so basically while Adam and Mercy are there, they run into these otter fairies and something else that's in the water. And I'd have to say, like, this here was like boring to me. It was just, there was several times to me that it just kind of like lingered, and I felt like it didn't have like the action to it that I was expecting. It just was very much like her learning a little bit more about like her father that she never knew. Her father basically died before she was born. He didn't even know that, you know, her mother was pregnant. And he was obviously older, and her mother was like around 16 or 17 when she had gotten pregnant. So he obviously was older and everything when he had knocked up a teenager. And so, like I said, it was interesting. And she was seeing ghosts too. But I really just, I just really was kind of bored listening to this. And I'm glad that, you know, I'm through it, so then I can move on to the next book, which I'll do next month. You know, I'll move on to book 7. Book 7 is on Hoopla, so I can borrow that one for free, and so that'll be good, and go from there. And yeah, I'd say, like, I really like the series. You know, I'm really enjoying urban fantasy a lot. You know, I'd say that this is probably gonna be like a favorite of mine you know, like besides romance, I really like urban fantasy. I'm not into the high fantasy. I just can't get into it. It's too much, like too much world building. I don't like all the worlds, the different types of worlds, where I like more of like it takes place here. You know, I prefer that. It's much easier to understand and everything than high fantasy does, you know? So this one here, I'm like, man, I swear Mercy constantly is getting her ass kicked, you know? She's still stubborn. She's a very strong heroine. Man, she gets her ass kicked. She got fucked up in this one. And so Adam, you know, of course, was helping her. But, you know, I don't want to say, like, any more than that, you know, obviously, because then I'm delving into spoilers, and I don't want to do too much, but I'll just say, like, those otter fairies didn't have good intentions. I'll just say that. Didn't have good intentions. So there was that aspect to it. And she was seeing, like, the spirit of her father, or, like, was, like, sort of a spirit of her father. Like, there was a different way of explaining it in this book. Like, I don't want to, like I said, don't want to give too much away. But it was interesting. So, like, for me, I'm giving, like, a 3.5, you know? Like, it was, like, a 3.5, you know? It wasn't quite a 4 or 5 for me. But it was interesting. I'm gonna have to pick up like another copy of this, because look at here. See how it's breaking? The spine is I hate, see, this is like somebody that really fucking like cracked this thing open. I don't like doing that. And like you can go and put creases on a spine. That's fine. Usually a paperback can handle, you know, mass market paperback can handle that type of damage. But this person obviously like cracked it open, and it went, and you know, now you could see like the glue has let loose from the spine, and the page is coming up a bit. So I'm either gonna have to try to fix it with glue or get myself another copy. So we'll see, because I do want to keep these books, even though, like I said, this one here didn't hit the spot as much as the other books did, but it still was decent, you know, like it still was a decent story. I got to know a little bit more about like Mercy and like her heritage, because, you know, her mother's white and her father was, you know, Native American. So, you know, she's got a bit of, you know, both when it comes to that, you know, so that was interesting. And, you know, seeing more of like Mercy's like powers and everything like that. They said like technically she's not a walker. They said that she was what was it again? An avatar, I think it said. I think they said she was an avatar, which is, they said she's not really a walker, she's more an avatar. And I'm like, okay, whatever that is, you know, whatever an avatar is. That was interesting though. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to go and give away too much, because then we're delving into spoiler stuff. So I'd rather people just read the book for themselves. So yeah, now I'll move on to, like I said, book 7 in the series. So it'll be 7, 8, and 9. I'll get to for the beginning of May. I'll do that, because yeah, I think I'm better off like doing these vlogs more toward like near the end of the month, because the way the billing is for my Everand account, it doesn't hit till like either the 13th or the 14th where I can borrow the audiobooks. And I'd say like I do prefer the graphic audio over a regular audiobook, because I love the multiple narration, and how you'll have the male voice is different than like, it's different than a female doing a male voice, you know, changing up your pitch on how you narrate, you know. I actually prefer the dual narration, even though I know like authors obviously it's either the publication company paying for it or it's the author paying for it. But I can understand maybe it like costs a lot more because you're doing like multiple narrators, multiple voices. So of course it's going to cost more money than like, say, just a single narration, you know, a single narrator. So, but yeah, I really like the graphic audios. They add a little bit more to it. The book before this was just a regular one. It wasn't a graphic audio, but that one, like I said, that one was fine. I did enjoy that one. But this one here, like I said, it was a little lacking for me. It did felt like it was a bit boring, you know, like they weren't really doing much. Maybe a lot more like investigating, less action, things like that. Knowing a little bit more of like her father and like what happened to him. You come to find out like her father was actually like, he was a walker, you know, and he was actually hunting down vampires and killing them. And so he ended up getting like trapped in a situation to where I think his car had broken down and the vampires had like caught up with him and killed him. And so that's how he died. Like he technically died, you know. That was interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. But anyways, that's it for this video here. So have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I'll see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.